Okay, so we had the co-main event, which was Carla Phillips against Raulian Paiva.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully I said that correctly. The first thing I noticed was in Raulian's corner was Raulian Paiva. I was like, oh, I didn't see that coming. That was pretty good. Now, Carla Phillips is bloody quick, mate. I was say, right?
He's very fast on the feet, isn't he?
Yeah. He was definitely popping off the shots, and I actually thought the first round was the way that he fought. I thought the first round was clearly going to him, because even though the judges scored this 28-28, so one judge thought it was a draw, and then two judges scored it 28-29. So this was an incredibly close fight between the two. Then Paiva got the win, but again, the way I see it, I honestly thought that Kyla won this one. Let me break them down. Okay, attempted 132 strikes, right? 74 of them, significant strikes. 74 of them succeeded, all right, to Raulian's 51. And then Kyla scored a knockdown off an elbow when he hit him against the cage. And then in terms of takedowns, Kyla attempted 9 and succeeded in 4. And Raulian attempted 6 and succeeded at 2. So can someone please break down to me, how did Kyla lose that fight?
I think, the most significant one was probably the first round. The first round, you have to give that to Kyla. So in the judges' minds, they believe he won round 2 and 3. I think maybe round 2 could have maybe given to Raulian, but then the round 3 is up for grabs, and it was just that close. I do think maybe the takedowns and things like that could have been a bigger factor for Phillips getting the nod. It is one of those things that looked a little bit of a close fight, especially in that third round as well. I'm not too... honestly, I like Phillips, and I'm not too sure why he didn't get the nod, but it was a close fight. It was a close fight. When it goes to a majority decision and things like that, and they're both like Paiva's, he's number 12 in the rankings and Phillips is number 14. They're closely matched, and you're going to expect a close fight. So honestly, I just think it was damn close. Probably could have probably scored it for either. It's just one of those things. It's just one of those things that I'm just happy that I think Phillips has got a lot of room to grow, being so young. Not that Paiva isn't young himself, but I think Phillips has just got a lot of room to grow. And I really like his stand-up, to be honest. It's nice and flowy. It's very. I like the flow he's got on his feet. I just think that perhaps it's good that he's not going to lose his ranking over this. It's a loss, but it's not. It wasn't a thrashing. It wasn't a domination.
It wasn't an ass whipping.
It wasn't an ass whipping. It was just a close fight with someone close in the rankings, and it just means you're supposed to be there. It's not a bad thing, You're supposed to be there. You're supposed to be in the top 15. So, not the worst decision of the night and things like that. I think it was, brilliant. Still a brilliant fight. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it was fight of the night. I was very intrigued by it. I actually really, really enjoyed it, and I was very happy that it went a distance. But when I was looking at it, I was just like, I just didn't see how Raulian won it. That's all. And especially when you score a knockdown, like, come on, it's especially when bantamweights aren't really the kind of
as powerful.
Yeah,
as
exactly.
The big ones,
So that's why I believe that was the overriding factor. And the other thing is, like, if we're talking about takedowns, and it's not, a lot of them love to score takedowns, right? So if you defend a takedown, that's okay. But if then you succeed in a takedown, right? And then if you look at the attempts that they had, and if you have a pretty successful number of a pretty good number of successful takedowns, that's got to add up even more. And then the other thing I got to notice is this is a case of like, based on judges' scorecards, okay, the first round they absolutely smash and dominate, and they made it look like a 10-8, and then they got 2 10-9 rounds afterwards.
Yeah.
But then it's a case of two judges score in the first round of 10-9. So that's where it sort of like comes into play here.
Do you think maybe it was close enough to be a draw?
Exactly. I could have think that's again. I think it could have been a draw, but because it was a case of, okay, dominate and smash the first round and you score great rounds, and then your opponent tries to play catch up. But then again, over the 2 rounds, they're not, those 2 rounds in terms of difference don't add up to beat the amount of smashing that you gave them in the first round.
No. Unless it is that significant that they're completely gassed.
Yeah.
Where it completely changes the side of this. It's hard to do, and especially in a 3-round fight. 5 round, that's when your long distance matchups can start to like sway later in those later rounds, to be honest. I mean, a lot of people were very confused about. They're a bit confused on scoring. I mean, some people like John Anik, he mentioned, Carla Phillips probably could have got a 10-8 in that first round. It was that significant, it was I don't think that judging is an easy thing to do.
No. Well,
I think their criteria is shit.
Yeah, I just don't think it was a good enough on this card. I mean, again, not to steer off topic, it's not the main one of our topics for today, but the biggest overall, what really pissed him off the most was the fact that Macy Barber beat Miranda Maverick. Now, I'm not taking a dump on him or her or anything like that.
But if you go by stats, you wouldn't understand it.
Exactly, correct. Considering that Macy Barber threw 111 to Miranda's literally 143, and of those 147 were successful. And Macy Barber has 6 takedown attempts and only scored 1 of them. And Miranda had 100% takedown rate, which means she only took 1 and she scored 1. And she also put her on her back, and literally rained down shots on her. I'm like, how is that not I don't understand how that's not enough.
I think that was the main one that that pissed off a lot of people on the night, to be honest. I think that was the biggest one, because they were just like, how did she win that?
Yeah.
Again, split decision win, but like, how?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is where we come back to the idea.
It's understanding.
Yeah.
It's just understand.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, I think it was Lauren Murphy, another female fighter. She mentioned, I saw it later that day. She mentioned, look, how come we don't understand why the judges score this way? Why can't they just write the bottom of the thing and just be like, what's the reason for the winning or dominating? It should be damage, or it should be octagon control or submission attempts. Like, it needs to have a reasoning behind it. And because judges, no matter how controversial the decision, there's no Twitter for them to put a statement out. There's no press conference for them to reveal their opinion, and they could be right. That's the thing. You could just be like, you make a reasonable argument. Well done.
But not even that. But they go after the fighters as well. I'm like, well, it was your performance at the end of the day, but you're not the one who's deciding whenever you win or lose, unless you knock them out or submit them.
And to be honest, can you really think that like the other fighter that won, they're going to feel bad to the point that they're going to be like, no, I'm going to stand up in front of everyone at the committee and go, no, change it and give him the win. And by the way, I have a win purse. Give him my win purse. Fuck no, they're not going to do that.
Yeah, no, they're do that.
They've got families and shit to do. They're not going to do that shit.
Yeah.
And that's why there's a little bit of an issue with, the incentive of a win bonus is that, once you win, that's your intent of showing I worked really hard in order to put on my best performance, right? If you win and maybe you weren't supposed to win, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because you'll lose that if it gets reversed anyway.
Yeah.
If it gets overturned, all right, you've already paid your win bonus if that's in terms of drugs and shit like that. But if you technically lost that fight and you got given your win bonus, why would you then be like, because I know this Macy Barber, she was like, well, I don't understand. I thought I did win that fight.
Yeah.
Most fighters do think they won that fight.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really, it's not on the fighters to make that decision or to be rained down on, because most fighters with the ego that they have will say, I won that fight. Really, it should be the judges and the judging criteria that should be scrutinized. And that's why they should have an actual voice to defend themselves. If the judges are going to be attacked afterwards, maybe they should have a voice as well.
Yeah.